Thank you, Count Corla. Today, the Labour Party will be opposing both nominations for Taoiseach that are before the House. The nomination of Deputy MacDonald comes before this House without, unfortunately, a scintilla of evidence of a rational, thought-out programme for government that could seek to attract the votes of a majority of this House. Sinn Féin, it is our view, is simply going through the motions of appearing to be interested in government. But the truth is that today's nomination is not backed up by an attempt, a real attempt, to negotiate a programme for government. Their manifesto pre-election was a late show giveaway, something for everyone in the audience. But bills must be paid and the books must be balanced. When you treat the taxpayer with contempt, when you tell them that they can get everything for nothing in a utopian world. And I accept Sinn Féin did get a mandate from the people of the public, and I respect that. But with a mandate comes serious responsibility. Responsibility to seek to govern with others, with an agreed policy framework, and that actually has never existed from them. Sinn Féin in reality yearns for opposition, and that is why the nomination of Deputy MacDonald is unworthy of support today. And for the record, nobody has a monopoly on political change. The nomination of Deputy Martin as Taoiseach comes on the back of an agreed programme for government between Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Green Party. The programme for government has some proposals that are to be welcomed. We in the Labour Party very much welcome some of the proposals. But the sad reality is that it is a lost opportunity to transform both our country and our society, particularly given the COVID crisis. Parts of the document are being trumpeted as game changers, when the reality is that they are not. And let's be honest, the financials behind this programme for government are comical. In fact, they're so comical they weren't put down on paper. They don't exist in reality. Over and over, the programme lacks ambition too. We heard at length in recent weeks about the hours and hours of tortuous negotiations to set a target of a 7% annual reduction in carbon emissions. The Green Party claimed this is a victory, despite the truth being that it was the minimum required to meet our obligations under the Paris Climate Change Agreement. And I should know, because I signed that agreement on behalf of our state. The saddest indictment of the outgoing government is how little has been achieved in setting about meeting our commitments in the intervening 4 years. The programme for government promises much, but without timelines and costings, many of the proposals will in reality, Count Corla, be kicked further and further down the road. Of course, that's if Deputy Ryan allows any more roads to be actually built. Most disappointingly, though, there is little evidence in the programme for government of any concerns for workers' rights, for equality of opportunity, or for access to education and training to change. This is deeply worrying to the Labour Party. In January 2020, Micheál Martin said that Fianna Fáil was the party of the working classes. How can a party that claims to be of the working class not seek to improve the lot of workers? And it's demonstrably void in this document. There is no radical thinking on workers' rights, or a meaningful plan to introduce the living wage, or extending free healthcare to all, or a radical plan to provide homes at an affordable price point for ordinary workers, affordable childcare so parents don't have to make the choice between staying out of the workplace for a prolonged period of time or paying essentially a second mortgage in childcare fees. So, when Fianna Fáil claimed to be of the working class, it is simply a smokescreen. Nothing in this pick and mix programme for government will actually completely transform the lives of ordinary working people in Ireland. We know that from their government alliance that Fianna Fáil and the Green Party have actually no problem taking away from the most vulnerable in our workforce. Who can ever forget, in the dying days of the last government, they actually cut the minimum wage by €1. We're just about to enter another financial disaster, And I want to say this loud and clear to everybody in this House, and particularly to the new government that's going to be formed. Low-paid workers cannot and should not suffer at the hands of the decisions that are going to be taken in the coming years. And remember, Fine Gael just don't get industrial relations. In fact, they're completely inept when it comes to it. We only need to look at their latest stint in government. Transport workers were on strike, teachers were on strike, and our nurses, who saved this country over the last number of months, were on strike. We all know the outgoing Taoiseach loves his films. In the 2016 general election, Leo Varadkar said that Micheál Martin was a good debater and an even better deceiver, could not be trusted, and that his record as a minister was a disaster. Sorry for pointing that out. The then Minister for Health compared the Fianna Fáil leader to Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall, with alternative memories planted in his brain, and created a fairy tale about his record in health and foreign affairs. But colleagues, yet here we are 4 years later, and it would seem that the outgoing Taoiseach has had his memory absolutely wiped in the pursuit of office, and has constructed his own fairy tale today. I believe he must have taken some tips from Matt Damon when he was here during the lockdown, as Leo, our current Taoiseach, has woken up akin to Jason Byrne, with no actual memory of what he said about Fianna Fáil or Micheál Martin 4 years ago, or indeed numerous times over the last 10 years. We've been here with the Green Party, in fairness, before as well. On the 6th of May 2016, the leader of the Green Party announced that he would not vote for the election of the Taoiseach, then Enda Kenny, and would not enter government, stating that we would not join the government because we come from a left-of-centre perspective, and we did not see that reflected in this document. Well, 4 years on, I can tell Deputy Ryan that I actually do come from a left-of-centre party, and it is certainly not reflected in this current programme for government that he is so eagerly signed up to. Having said that, the Labour Party genuinely does wish the Green Party well. They share many of our party's goals and ideals, and I look forward to seeing them implement them as part of this government. So, Ceann Comhairle, government will be formed this evening, and we sincerely in the Labour Party wish it the best. I personally wish Deputy Micheál Martin the best as the Taoiseach-elect. I wish him well, and I wish this future government well. But today I also want to put it on notice that the Labour Party will hold it to account. The Irish public, post-COVID, or in the middle of the COVID experience, are a very different public with different priorities and emotions, even from a few months ago. They want and deserve a new social contract. COVID has acted as a disruptor across all political and economic thought, and the new government would do well to remember that from the get-go. The Labour Party will hold this government to account based on the following principles: that a cleaner future for all depends first and foremost on building a fairer future for all, and for those that work, and those that are looking for work, and those who cannot work. That the opportunities presented by the crisis must not be allowed to pass. We had a taste of telemedicine and free GP care. But most of all, I say this to the incoming government: the Irish people have had a glimpse of a single-tier health system, where private hospitals were taken over by the state. We know that real change can happen in how healthcare and childcare and other services are now delivered in Ireland. That the provision of a sustainable, affordable roof over the heads of all families and individuals will be the key measure upon which we judge this government. So this week is a momentous week. This is a historic occasion as we sit here today. The memberships of both Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael have voted overwhelmingly to enter government today. Both Deputy Martin and I are former students of the great history department of UCC, and neither of us could ever have envisaged this occurring today, but it has. So I say there is one final step to be taken by Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, and that is a full and final merger of the two parties. Because, let's face it, there is now not a scintilla of difference left between the two parties. and we are now finally on the cusp of a historic realignment of Irish politics. An alignment on a traditional left-right divide is one which I welcome, and one which the Labour Party would cherish. In the coming weeks, months and years, we in the Labour Party, I can assure you of this, will not be found wanting when it comes to standing up and advocating on behalf of the people of Ireland. It's not just a new government that is being formed today. It's a new dawn in Irish politics for each and every one of us.